Here's a number almost nobody is quoting, from a World Bank report that should have made headlines. High-income countries host 86% of the world's 500 most powerful computers, and they command 97% of their total computing capacity. Let me say that differently. If you took every top-tier supercomputer on Earth, 97 of every 100 processing cycles would happen in a rich country. 3% would be spread across the rest of the planet. And of that, 3%, almost all of it is in just two countries, China and India. And here's the uncomfortable part. That's not a projection. That's the starting line. Everything that follows, every scenario for AI's future, is built on top of that distribution. Let's talk about how it got this bad, why it's getting worse, and whether anything short of a public investment shock can change it. Here's the lens. Every frontier AI model, every ChatGPT, every Claude, every Gemini, runs on a supply chain with 4 critical choke points. Advanced GPUs, made almost entirely by Nvidia. Memory chips dominated by 2 companies, SK Hynix and Micron. Advanced packaging, done mostly by TSMC in Taiwan. And the lithography machines that etch the chips, made by exactly 1 company, ASML, in the Netherlands. Every single one of those choke points is geographically concentrated. Every one of them is subject to export controls, and every one of them has become a foreign policy weapon over the last 3 years. So when we ask who owns the machines of the future, the honest answer is a very small number of factories, in a very small number of countries, governed by a very small number of trade agreements. That's it. That's the whole story. Here's the number that puts it in human terms. On a per capita basis, the United States has roughly 200 times more secure internet servers than a typical middle-income country, and approximately 20,000 times more than a typical low-income country. 20,000. Not 20. Not 200. 20,000. For every 1 server, a typical low-income country has per person. The United States has 20,000. That's not a gap you close with a national AI strategy. That's not a gap you close with a G20 declaration. That's the kind of gap that took a century of capital accumulation, industrial policy, and accident to produce. Catching up, even partially, would require a sustained investment at a scale no current development program is funding. Now add export controls. Starting in 2022 and expanding every year since, the United States has restricted which AI chips can be sold to which countries. The original target was China, but the effects ripple through the entire middle of the global economy. Countries that might have imported Nvidia's top-line GPUs now have to justify every purchase. Sometimes they get them, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they get a deliberately weakened version. The result, catching up, became not just expensive, but politically conditional. And here's what makes this durable. These controls aren't going away. Both American political parties support them. European allies align with them. They're becoming as permanent a feature of the global economy as tariffs were in the 20th century, which means the existing chip distribution isn't just a snapshot. It's being frozen in place by policy. Even the chips that do get manufactured don't go to whoever needs them most. They go to whoever buys the most. When TSMC and Nvidia ramp production, their largest customers get first allocation. That's Microsoft, Google, Meta, Amazon, a handful of Chinese firms, sovereign wealth funds. After that list is satisfied, the rest of the world competes for what's left. Governments in lower-income countries don't have purchase orders that compete with the hyperscalers. Universities don't. Hospitals don't. Ministries of health don't. The allocation system isn't malicious, it's just market rational. But market rationality in a supply-constrained market produces the outcome we see. The rich get the first slice, the second slice, and usually the third. A common response: why not use older chips? Just buy the previous generation. It sounds reasonable. It doesn't work at scale. Frontier AI training requires huge clusters of chips working together at very high bandwidth. Older chips can't match the memory bandwidth, interconnect speeds, or energy efficiency needed for competitive training. You can run some AI workloads on them, and that matters. But you can't train a frontier model. You can't even serve one efficiently at scale, so the gap between what older chips can do and what the actual frontier needs keeps widening. That's the bitter part. The obvious workaround isn't really a workaround, it's a consolation prize. Here's the synthesis. AI compute is concentrated not because of some grand conspiracy, but because every incentive in the system points that way. Manufacturing concentrates in the places with the best factories. Allocation concentrates in the buyers with the biggest budgets. Policy concentrates in the hands of the countries that make the rules. And once that's set, catching up requires breaking multiple entrenched systems at once. The signpost to watch. Whether any credible, well-capitalized regional compute hub actually gets built in Africa, Southeast Asia, or Latin America by 2028. Not announced. Built, powered, staffed, actually serving models. If that happens, the 97% number starts to move. If it doesn't, and the honest base case says it won't, then this is what the starting line looks like from here forward. The sting. We like to talk about AI as if it's a tidal wave that will lift all boats, but the tide doesn't reach the places without harbors, and nobody is building harbors. Here's the real question, and I want you to sit with it. If the physical capacity to participate in the frontier of AI is structurally unavailable to most of the planet, what does it even mean to promise AI for everyone? Let me know what you think. I genuinely want to see what you come up with. Next episode, we go inside the lie of the year, the claim that open-source AI has closed the gap. Spoiler, the gap moved.